In this week's Parshat Beshalach, we have a very rare word which a lot of people assume means the same as Zot or Zo. And the word is Zu, Zayin Vav. In fact, in the entire 5 books of Moshe, this is the only place where there is this word. There is no Zo in the Chumash either, by the way. The word Zo does not appear even once in the 5 books of Moshe, and the word Zu appears twice, both in the song that Moshe and the Jewish people sang after they were saved from the Egyptians. So what most people assume is that the word Zu and Zo are more or less identical. And what this means is that Zu is that, just like Zot, it's feminine, feminine for something that you show. This is Zot is this in feminine. So according to this, the translation of the 2 verses in our parsha would be Ad Yavoram Zu Kanita, until this people that you Hashem have will pass. Whether this is a hint to the Jewish people later passing Jordan River, as a lot of the commentators say. I'm not going to go into this right now. And similarly in the other verse, Am Zu Ga'alta, this people that you saved. The problem with this understanding is that it seems kind of redundant and repetitive. This people that you saved, and which other people? What is there to add by this word? It's even more clear in certain verses in the later books of the Tanakh. For example, there is a psalm, 142nd psalm, which of course is recited a lot today by us praying for the Jewish people so that they will be saved from all the various traps. There are so many traps in tunnels in Gaza. So this psalm is very appropriate, 142nd psalm, when King David used to pray. And he says, B'derech zu ahalech tam nopach li. So if you translate Zu as this, it would basically be redundant and repetitive. In this way that I walk, they prepared a trap. They hid a trap in the derech, in the way that I walk. It's not exactly clear. This way, which way? Was there any way mentioned before? So I saw an article a few weeks ago, a small article written by Mitchell First. And he writes that the word Zu actually means the same as Asher in Hebrew, or just the letter Shin. A lot of times in Hebrew, the letter Shin is used in the beginning of the word for the same meaning as the separate word Asher. In Aramaic, it's used as Dalet. What's Shin in Hebrew is Dalet in Aramaic, and sometimes it's a separate word, also Dalet Yud, and sometimes it's attached to the word, just the letter Dalet before the word. And what it means is that, meaning according to this, it's not something that you show. Zu meaning this is the way that I walk, because which way? Nothing is shown here. But if it means the same as Asher, then the translation would be something like, in any way that I walk, on the way that I will be walking on, they've prepared traps, meaning any way that I try to walk, there are traps everywhere they're trying to prepare, on any way that I try to walk. And this makes a lot of sense. So what I saw as support, Mitchell First is quoting concordance, and also he's quoting Dat Mikra, but I saw this in a very early source, the commentary of Hizkuni. He actually says openly on this week's Parsha that the word Zu always means the same as Asher. However, I found that not everybody seems to agree with it. It seems that in certain places Ibn Ezra and Psalms has a different interpretation, and the Radak brings 2 different interpretations. So it's not clear that everybody agrees with this postulate that whenever it says Zu, it means Asher. But it certainly makes a lot of sense that this is the correct translation. And certainly in the verses in our Parsha, it also makes a lot more sense to translate Zu as Asher. What's interesting is that the Aramaic Targum, the translation into Aramaic language, in the first of the two verses uses the word denan, which is the same as zo, that, not zu. Meaning, apparently, the Aramaic translator understood zu to mean what most people, as I mentioned, would think, and that is that it's that is showing as something. This is the people that you kanita, or this is the people that you redeemed. But in the second of the two verses, there are two words used. Apparently, it's as if it's two different translations. It says both denan and dalet yud, which means, as I said, asher. And in the Ashkol edition of the Targum of the Chumash, I saw that they put in parentheses the word denan. Apparently, because of this redundancy, why should there be two different words? Denan, di. And that means that they probably found a manuscript where denan is missing. So if in the second verse denan may have been missing, maybe even in the first verse there is some kind of a Taut Sofer, what's called, probably an incorrect version, possibly. But it's also possible that in fact there was an opinion already in the times of Chazal, in the times of Aramaic translations of the Torah, that zu means actually this, which is what most people assumed, as I mentioned anyway. And at the end, I want to mention his other interesting idea. Mitchell first also writes that when we do kiddushin, during Jewish wedding, we say that you're mikudeshet to me, you're betrothed to me, bitabat zu, with this ring. But if zu actually means asher in biblical Hebrew, maybe it's better to say zo instead of zu. Of course, most ancient sources that mention this don't have vowels altogether, so zu looks exactly like zo. So he says that he found in some Sidurim that in fact the nusach is zo, bitabat zo. But it's also possible that over time, the word zu, in later Hebrew, in Mishnaic Hebrew possibly, began to mean the same as zo. So even if in biblical Hebrew it meant asher, it became identical to zo eventually, and therefore tabat zu would mean the same as tabat zo, this ring. You mikudesha to me with this ring. And on this I'm going to end. If you like this video, please press like and please subscribe to our channel.